We have had a doozy of a day.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Johnny!
Welcome to the Horror Basement. I'm Yeti. Johnny's not here today because I think he was abducted by aliens this morning. It's a whole thing. I was on the phone with him. There was like a loud noise and then a lot of static, and it's been radio silence ever since. So it's just us today. It's me, Yeti. We got Jim Jam and Angela here. So we've got almost a full staff. Today we're just gonna skip the bullshit because there's not a lot of news going on. We're gonna be talking about two very different movies. We're going to be talking about Dogtooth, which is a 2009 Greek film, and then Little Evil, which is a horror comedy, Netflix original horror comedy that came out like last year, I think. So how are we doing, guys?
Good.
Good, tired, but good.
I gotta tell
How about you?
Y'all go get some merch.
Yes, buy that fucking merch. TeePublic, we got the merch going. You can get it for fair prices. And go check out the website, too. There's been some activity there, some reviews, whatnot. It's been good. There's a written review. If you saw the video review for Screwdriver and you thought, wow, that was a good review, I wonder what Yeti has to say about it at length. It's on the website. You can go check that shit out.
Hell yeah. What about you, Angela?
Nothing much. Nothing new. Just the animals keeping me busy as usual. So.
They will definitely do that.
Yes, they do. How about you, Yeti?
Oh, fucking! It's been kind of neat. Couple of days. Our roommate's out of town for like 2 weeks, so it's just me and the boy here during the day. It's just a lot of quiet time. Been playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of movies.
Awesome. Anything good?
Other than these two, I watched Return of the Living Dead the other day. Fucking great film. Absolutely.
Which version did you watch? Black and white or?
No, on the color on Shudder.
Okay.
With Jesus, Linnea Quigley. Oof. Man. It's such a fucking punk rock movie too. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw. I actually got to go to the theater for Riff Tracks when they did it one Halloween. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah. I was gonna say I watched a chunk of movies in the meantime since we were all last met, I should say. I would have to say, I know another podcast talked about it, but that's what made me go check it out was Night Riders. That was badass. I don't know how I missed that, especially since I love Ren Fair and I love all the characters and George Romero and everything. You brought up George Romero. That's what made me think of it. So that was really good.
So that's a George Romero movie?
Yeah.
Night Riders.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Ed Harris?
Yeah.
Oh, Savini is in it, too.
Yeah, it was really good.
Out of 81.
Sounds like it'd be pretty good. I watched Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater.
Oh, yeah?
That's a great fucking film.
Ages.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I hadn't either.
Only movie I think I've really watched besides these two is Screwdriver. It's the last movie I watched.
How is it?
Oh my god.
Screwdriver's fucking ridiculous.
It's so funny.
I watched The Relic. That was pretty
How's
good.
that? Yeah?
Yeah. It's the metaphor for it's pretty sad and everything. But I enjoyed it. It's a very nice slow burn, and I enjoyed that. Excision was another great one. I know, Yeti, you really like that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. It's everything runs together.
Yeah.
It's like I know I've watched more than that, but it's just like fuck, everything's just ran together.
I watched so many, it's just a matter of what was good and what wasn't.
Oh, Patchwork. Patchwork was an interesting one.
Was it?
Yeah, it's on.
I know
it's on Shudder.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a almost like a Frankenstein. I don't know. He takes. It's like a serial killer. Well, mad scientist takes 3 women and pieces them together into one body, and they're all like
kind of funny.
Yeah, it was just fucking hilarious, and it was. I mean, it was really well done. So yeah, if you have Shudder, definitely in a couple of hours to kill, go check that out. That's fun.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I thought, like I said, I thought it was funny and stuff. It had some good moments in it.
Kind of gave me Frankenhooker vibes, which is never a bad thing.
I have always wanted to see that movie. I have not had a chance to see that.
It's really good. I think it's for free on YouTube.
Really?
That might be where I saw it.
Because I've been looking for it, and
this has been months
I haven't
ago,
been able
though.
to find it. Yeah, I'll have to check YouTube. I haven't gone there yet.
It's fun.
Nice. So, should we kind of dig into the movies?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So the first one, I kind of wanted to do things a little differently, and I'm always trying to expand the guys' horizons, especially Johnny and Jimmy. So I picked Dogtooth, and I knew that would be a bit of a rough going for them. So I also did Little Evil to lighten the mood afterwards, since I know they like horror comedies. Dogtooth was done in 2009. It is a Greek art house. It's been described as a drama, a thriller, a black comedy. So, I don't know, take from it what you will. I think it's one of those things. It actually has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is pretty fitting if you're into ratings and all, which I'm usually not. But I know it did win an award at Cannes, and it was nominated for Best Foreign Language Film at the Academy Awards that year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Got nominated by the Academy? Wow.
Yeah. Well,
the
director, Yorgos, help me with the last name. Is it Lanthimos? Lanthimos?
Yeah.
Something like that. Well,
Greek is really strange to me.
Yeah, he, you can always tell his movies. So this was his second film that he did, and he's done Lobster and The Killing of a Sacred Deer and Favorite. And I've seen all 3 of those. He's done a few more, but I think those really, he's got a certain style for sure. And he does kind of have a slow burn to his movies in a sense, but they like keep you kind of going. I mean, they're always visually stunning, and they're usually the kind of movies that leave you kind of thinking more. There's more to it, and behind just what you're seeing and stuff. So
yeah, definitely with Dogtooth, like it's I don't know, it seems like a really slow burn, but it's one of those that was like, it's like, okay, it's kind of quirky, it's really fucking weird, and it's weird enough to keep my attention, but and then on a dime it just shifts into this like really dark territory. It was and I've found that the more I've sat and thought about it, like the further I get from it, the more I think about it, the more I really like it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It ended and it stopped. The movie doesn't have an ending, it just stops. And I was like, well, that was okay, I didn't hate that. And the more, and like, I've thought about it a lot in the past couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I think about it, the more I was like, that was really fucking good.
Yeah, and so the if you haven't seen it, because this was my second time viewing it, I saw it when it first came out, and I remember I was just like, "What did I just watch?" you know,
Yeah.
and and obviously my movie has expanded a lot due to technology and due to being able to get access easier to apps and so forth. So that's been an absolute joy for me. But anyways, I mean, I'll just sum it up. Basically, you have a family, and they seem pretty well to do. They're out in the country, and their house is kind of like a compound. And you have the father, who's the only one that really leads the home. And there's two daughters, and the middle child is a son. And they're not children; they're adults, but um, you get the sense that they're very sheltered and treated very childlike, and they have no idea about the outside world whatsoever. And then the oldest daughter starts to kind of question. I think her world gets shattered due to a specific event, and her goal is to break free. I mean, she discovers that her world's a lie, but she doesn't know what is a lie. So that's kind of it in a nutshell without giving anything away.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it starts out. I like how it's kind of mundane, and it is just kind of showing this process. You're just kind of thrown right in. You're never at any point giving given any clue as to why this is done, um, what's going on in the real world. It's like everything's just kind of functioning as normal, and then there's this new normal that's inside this home. And I think the first part is really just to kind of introduce that these parents really went out of their way to shield them, to protect them from the outside world, to keep them in the home. And even their vocabulary, they don't have, like, the words that they're learning, that they're told that they have different meanings, and they're words that to me really represent freedom and the outside. And
Yeah.
and they're taught that beyond the wall is their brother who went out there, and he's now basically stuck out there because he made that decision, and it's a dangerous place. And there's an example that comes further down the road that enables the father to use this example as, see, it's dangerous out there, this is why only I can go out there. And then he gives them the metaphor of, if you lose your dog tooth, you can go out into the real world, but it can only be in the vehicle. And then when it grows back and you come back, and it's all this stuff. Well, the chances are we don't lose our dog too. We don't lose it. So the point is that they'll never leave, and they'll always be sheltered. Even the mom manipulates them through giving them the idea that she can give birth at any time, and it can be a boy or a girl or a dog if she chooses. So there's definitely a lot of manipulation going on, and we see that, and the parents are really playing on the naiveness of the children. And so I think that's where it kind of slows down, and then it's interesting because then we're introduced pretty quickly on to the fact that the father, he must be like a boss at a plant, and the security guard, he has an arrangement with her that he blindfolds her and brings her to the home to have sex with his son. And I just assumed that this was kind of because men have needs, dismissive of the female daughters, but men have needs, and he's taking care of them, so to speak, for the son.
Right.
And but in turn, by doing this, he is now introducing an outside force that he can't control into his environment, and that is where things get rattled, and why this gets rattled, this whole world.
And boy, does it! I thought in the beginning, like he was doing that to. It's going to be hard to talk about without spoilers, folks. It really is. If you don't want to spoil for this movie, fucking go watch it. I don't know, but like you get. I thought that maybe in the beginning it was like, well, I'm going to bring her in because if I do, that'll take care of his urges, and he won't like turn them on his sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well,
but,
that's what I was saying. That's kind of pretty much what I meant by that. I agree.
But that doesn't stick. And the beginning of the movie, like I want to back up a little bit because in the beginning it sounds like a vocabulary tape. Like, this is a word, and this is the definition of that word. And here's it used in a sentence. But all the words are wrong, and I thought the subtitles were fucked up. Like, I was like, oh, the subtitles are broken. Because it's like, it was just given the wrong meanings for these words. Like, material and, like, telephone and fucking... but
the words that they don't want the children to fully understand, because that would mean life outside, like telephone. Well, telephone instead of salt, or instead of the word salt.
Yeah.
If they knew what telephone was, then they would be like, wait a second, now I can access this. And just like they make these very mundane home videos to watch, like for movie night. And instead of, because if they showed them real movies, that would open up and you find out what happens when, you see movies, and it would completely crash their whole entire experiment, I feel like, that they're doing on the kids.
Oh, it would. And they do listen, they listen to music, but he tells them it's like their grandfather singing. And it's all in English, so he translates it to some bullshit that keeps them kind of docile. I love my family. I like being in my house. My house is the only place that's safe. My siblings love me. And
it's really interesting because it's like, what made them? And I know I did read, like, the director doesn't like to make any type of social commentaries or anything. I tended to differ if you watch some of the other movies, but I think he kind of really wanted to leave it open, but we are left not knowing why. Are they just demented parents? Are they good-natured parents who want the best for their kids, and they think that the outside world is too corrupt, so they want to keep things as pure as possible for them? Why does the mother never go out? How did he get her on board with all of this? I mean, that's kind of like, where my brain was going throughout a lot of the movie, at first, but she's the one creating the tapes and stuff, that they listen to, and you can see, I mean, even the games they play, they're very childlike, and the stickers they collect determine who gets to pick entertainment. And I mean, they're very socially awkward in some ways, but yet knowledgeable in other things.
Yeah.
This and then you get to see, the difference. Like, the son feels competitive with whom he thinks is his brother on the side of the wall, where the eldest sister feels compassion, and sneaks him off food and tosses food over, so it's really, really interesting.
But within the siblings that are there in the compound, there's this constant competition because of the sticker game they have. If they do better, they get a sticker. They get 10 stickers, and there's this really interesting scene. I thought it was really interesting. Was it kind of shows how they're knowledgeable and they're kind of skilled and yet still very childlike. There's their parents' anniversary party, where the son is playing this like classical fingerstyle guitar, and it's the same few bars over and over again, but he's fucking slaying. It sounds great. Like, I was kind of envious. Like, the dude, and you could tell by looking that it looked like he was actually playing. So, I mean, that was just a whole thing for me. But at the same time, his sister is dancing like, kind of if you told a 6-year-old girl, hey, get up and dance. You know, this the spaz fucking Caucasian convulsion kind of dancing that you'd get.
Well, so
kinda,
what?
You know.
So what happens is earlier on in the film, the security guard who's sleeping with the son wants congolingus. How do you say that word? I can never say it properly.
Congolingus.
She wants to be eaten out. And the son won't do it. He's like not having it. So she introduces a barter system to the eldest daughter. And that is, if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. So in that exchange of you lick and I give you something, she ended up getting 2 movies out of the deal, which were Rocky and Flashdance. So these completely rocked her world and changed. You know, that's why you see her putting the Kool-Aid in the mouth and the pretend the punching, and she's, getting all worked up. And then so at the end, by this point in the movie, at the end where it's their wedding anniversary, she is probably feeling so much. She's ready to explode. I mean, she's probably feeling so much anger towards her parents at this time and defiance and wants out and is ready to break out. And so, you know, they're doing this silly dance because they know no other way, because they were probably never taught for, you know, whatever reason. And so they do these synchronized movements, and then all of a sudden the youngest sister's too tired. So the eldest sister then breaks out into flash dance. She's basically doing the whole dance of Flashdance, you know, because it's the VHS she saw.
Yeah.
And then she's done. I mean, like, you know, and the parents are just, they are livid with her, you know, and I'm sure they know why, you know.
Oh yeah. So, I caught this like part of it. It was like, oh, that's like fucking Flashdance right there with the footwork, like the classic footwork. But she was also quoting Jaws at one point. Yeah.
I wonder if one of the movies she saw was Jaws too. I know that's right. It might have been Jaws. I don't know. I know there was only 2 videos, but who knows what else she was introduced to? Unless
maybe there were trailers.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe there were, you know, something, but either way, she was introduced to these movies, and that's why she was imitating them.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, I think it was Jaws and Flashdance. And
watching her imitate Rocky was the best.
What kid hasn't done that?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I did the Flashdance as a kid. I always joke around. I always tell my husband, I'm like, that's where I learned to eat chicken all sexual, because I never had lobster. My mom brought it back from Maine. I said, but, you know, and taking your bra off underneath your shirt, you know, that's where I learned all this stuff, was from a movie. So I could absolutely relate to that, especially it being the same movie, you know?
Right.
So...
Well, I guess I don't need to say how it happened, but she really gets close to those VHS.
That is the moment where, like, I feel terrible because I lost my shit. Might have been a little intoxicated, but I laughed super hard when the dad finds the VHS tapes. Mm-hmm. He knows, like, he catches her in the living room by herself late one night, so he knows something's going on. He finds the VHS tapes, and first he's asking her, you know, who else has seen him, and she tells him nobody, so that's a relief for him. You know, it's only her. she's the only one that's been really corrupted outside of what she's done to her siblings. And so she goes and gets the tape for him. He tapes this fucking VHS to his hand and commences just slapping the shit out of her with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the instant where shit gets really dark. Like, you see just how far this guy's willing to go. But at the same time, it was just...
But that's also because he knows now his world that they have spent all these years, over 20 years creating, has been shattered. And then we see him go over to the security's lady's house and symbolically takes the VCR, right? And then just zaps it with it, you know?
Yeah.
Because she's ruined everything.
That's something I noticed though in this movie, that when he's hitting them with stuff or whatever, they look like they really getting hit. So they do a really good job of acting, I guess.
Yeah, they both sell it really well.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, selling it. But especially when the girl's in the bathroom, getting ready to leave the house.
So, after the dance scene, the eldest, Bruce, takes one of those little, I don't even know what.
It's a dumbbell.
Yeah, like a jogging barbell or dumbbell. Like maybe like a 5-pound dumbbell or something, and just fucking beats herself in the face with it till her dog tooth comes out. So then she can leave.
Mm-hmm. And she does everything she's supposed to. Like, she runs out there and she gets in the car because she knows she can't go beyond that gate until she's in the vehicle. And so that's what she does.
And it's just as she starts to awaken, like going back, as she starts to realize things aren't what they are, she goes to explore things because they do have a phone in the house and it's locked away or it's hidden away. And she finds it. And that was to me, that was like the most tense scene in the movie. When she finds the phone, she's like, oh fuck, she's going to get caught.
Yeah, she knows it's something, and she knows that phone symbolizes a lie.
Yeah.
And something that has been hidden from her. But she's scared of it because she doesn't know what it is. And when she hears, the sound on the other end, it's like, well, imagine thinking you're pretty much the only one on the other side. And before we kind of hit the ending of this, I think for me, of course, I hated this part, was the cat. The cat, they see this cute kitten come over, and the brother thinks, that came from the other side, and kills it so brutally. And you see how scared the girls are because they're like, oh my God, how did it get over? How did it come into our property? And then the dad uses this as an excellent opportunity to show them, see, the world is a bad place beyond here, and fakes, getting attacked by a cat. Cats are bad. And comes home all like bloodied and his clothes all torn up and stuff, and enters the house and, explains to them. And that sucks. And then he also uses that to say, your brother's dead, and then they do like this little fake funeral and stuff for him. So, I mean, they're always warping their perception. Even with the plane, they see these planes fly over, and the parents have a little trick where it's like a little toy plane, and they'll, toss it into the yard. So they don't even know how big, to them, it's just this little thing flying in the sky. So they're playing with their perception and everything.
Right.
Go ahead.
This movie to me is like, the concept of like when you're watching a movie and there's a character who speaks a foreign language and your protagonist doesn't speak that language, so you don't get subtitles. Like you're supposed to be just as lost as the lens that you're looking through. That's this entire fucking movie. They took that concept and embedded it in the bottom of this movie. And I think that's why you don't know why. You don't know what the end is.
And I like that.
Know.
And that's one of the real appealing things. You're just thrown in like 20 years later, of them already doing this. And then you're really being tossed in towards the end of what happens.
Right.
And another interesting, so after the father, we're assuming kills the security lady. You're not for sure because you don't get to see, but we can kind of assume from some of those hits that then he comes back home and he feels, okay, we messed up. We can't introduce an outside source. So now he's got to choose which of the sisters he's going to sleep with. And that was a really, it was a poignant scene. There's two of them, but one is when they're in the bathtub and he's in the center and his eyes are closed and his two sisters are naked in the bathroom on each side. And he's feeling them and seeing what is appealing to him.
Right.
And that is, as a female, like that's really what it feels like on a day-to-day basis. That constantly being looked up and down and judged every little minute detail, and so that's kind of what I was thinking beyond the obvious disturbance that it was his siblings.
Yeah.
But, watching that and thinking, oh, he's probably going to go for his younger sister who is more developed and everything, but he doesn't. And after they have this very missionary, very flat tone, and it is very flat. His sex is very flat, period, no matter who it's with, which I think is also interesting. In itself.
Yeah, because none of the sex in this movie, there's not a lot, but none of the sex in this movie is sexy. None of it's meant to be sexual. Mm-hmm. It's just a thing that's happening that's adding to the layers of... Yeah, and I like that.
Eating. You have to eat to survive. Okay, we'll do this because I have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really, it's yet more of a development into that turning point because she's seen these movies and she makes up this dialogue, after they have sex. And it's basically saying, don't fucking ever do this again or I'll kill you, kind of. Yeah. That's pretty much like what you feel. And that was so cool. You're hearing this dialogue and even watching it, you're like, what movie is that from? Well, it's not, but it's to emulate, as if it was from a movie because she's seen stuff and now she's making it up, to say to him and she's using it correctly, but yet it just shows how it's not correct, because it's a movie.
Yeah. It's very, very, it's one of the most cinematic lines in the movie.
Yeah, and I think it's also a great example of what's real and what isn't real to her. Because she sees a movie now, we know what movies are, but she doesn't. So to her, is she just watching someone else's reality?
Right.
So, I definitely, I don't know.
It's a movie that bears, like if you're into like art house stuff, and even if you're not, fucking give it a watch. It's like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes long. And as I was watching it, because I watched it a couple of days ago, because I just kind of wanted to spread things out, make sure I gave myself enough time. I took notes while I was watching it, and I kind of wrote some of my notes out like drive-in totals from Joe Bob. So here's what I got. I got VCR foo. I got VHS foo. I got Hammer foo. I got self-inflicted barbell dentistry foo. They got weird incest concubine selection.
I feel like there's a couple more. I feel like there's sheer foo.
Oh yeah, sheer foo.
And then there's that knife he uses on the fish. Spear foo.
Yeah. A little bit of harpoon gun foo.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets pretty. It's just so fucking weird. Like everything about this movie is so fucking weird.
Sorry, you brought up their movements earlier.
So good.
Yeah, and even when you're watching them do that dance, and when she even goes on her own, you're uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable, which I love that. Because you're seeing, again, it goes back to what I was saying. She doesn't know that was a movie and that was an actress playing in a movie. And then, you see her imitating it and very clumsily and just, you feel the awkwardness and inappropriateness, because she doesn't know when to use these things that she's seen.
Right. And then you get, like, when they're out playing and running and doing things, because they go out in the yard and they do things and they have little competitions and they run like children. Mm-hmm. They don't run like adults. Like especially the I noticed it more with the son, kind of like he did the whole head bob run with his arms to his side kind of thing there for a little bit, and then juxtaposed against like the scenes where. Like the sex scenes and the weird lesbian incest almost sex scenes. You juxtapose. It's like yeah, these are adults, but these characters are children. Mm-hmm. And it's just another level of how uncomfortable and wrong everything feels. It's good. It's fucking good.
Yeah, and the barking like a dog, like that's the only way to scare what's on the other side from coming in, is just get on your hands and knees and bark like a dog, Meanwhile, their dog the whole time is being trained, which is, it's just really, really good and uncomfortable.
Which makes me wonder, because they've got this Doberman that they're training. And is that going to be what enforces that keeps the children in line now?
Oh, no, he's not a Doberman. It's that white dog. And he was scared. So he's at this training thing, and you see him, and the other dogs are barking, and you see him kind of cower. And that also kind of broke my heart, that he's being left there and scared of his environment. So...
Oh, yeah, they tricked me, because every other shot you see, there's the guy, he's like surrounded, he's like apparently a champion trainer, and it's just all dobies. And then they go to the kennels, and then this big fucking dobie comes up to the gate, and he's yelling, and then it cuts to the little scared white dog. Yeah, I guess that does make sense.
I mean, I almost feel like it's a metaphor for his life. I mean, here he is trying to train these others, to do what he says, and be submissive and obey. But there's 3 different types of dogs. Do you want a guard dog? Do you want a dog that does this or that? And so it's kind of, you see that in his kids too, and the boy, I almost feel like in some ways the son is oddly babied in the sense, and I think that I say that the big, because his needs are met. How about the teacher's needs? Those are completely disregarded and stuff. So
I think it does come from the father being the head, being the iron fist behind it all, and to take it back to the dog being kind of like a metaphor, he's training him, and he's so domineering and so controlling and so manipulative, but at the end he's just kind of a coward.
Yeah.
It's all his fear and his his weakness as a man and as a human being that plays out through these children and the wife too.
Yeah, and it's almost it's egotistical in a sense without him, I think, fully realizing that he's playing God to these kids in a way, just like the trainer is very egotistical in his abilities to control his environment, and the environment of the dogs and control the dogs. So, but he's not doing a good enough job because the dog's already been there for a couple weeks, and you see how passive and scared he is, So
Yeah.
I think to me that just says sometimes you can't always control everything.
Yeah, and I don't think that's how you train a broken dog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's how you do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, we kind of go back to the end, I guess. I mean, I feel like. Go ahead.
The end to me is the part that was most like when it happened. I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, because this is one of those movies that really doesn't have an ending. It just stops, and out of nowhere the credits come.
See, I know what you're saying. I guess for me, that wasn't. It felt like it ended, and I liked that. I like where they left it. I can tell you in my ignorance, the very, very first time I saw it, because we didn't hear her pounding or anything like that, I thought, oh, I wonder if she died in the back of the trunk. I just assumed she had died the very first time I saw it. This time it's interesting, It's like, is she dead? When her dad goes back home, is she going to be stuck then in, back home and never really having to get out? But I feel like in reality, though, she would have been dead because she wouldn't have been able to breathe and breaking out and being in the trunk all night long,
Yeah. And then that's why, like, when it happened, but the more I've kind of sat and thought about it and dwelled on it, this is one of those movies that's great for that, it'll fill your fucking brain for days. And that's where because it's an older, you think they're watching VHS, it's you can tell by the body style, it's an older model car, and they didn't start putting safety latches inside trunks until I don't know, late 90s. Maybe even later than that. I didn't look it up, but I figure if she's not dead on that last shot, she will be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because he'll either not know that she's in the trunk and just drive around with her in the trunk for a few days, and then she's dead anyway, or he'll find her when he goes, because there's a scene where he's cutting labels off of water bottles and shit before he takes them home so they don't see the branding, which was a nice little touch, I thought. Because there's always like city names and phone numbers and all that good shit. So he opens the trunk and finds her, and she's escaped. I mean, what's to stop him from killing her?
I feel like with the time that's going to lapse, though, between her being there all night and then him being at work, I don't know how hot it is, just kind of baking, and really, and I mentioned that because of air. I just don't think she's going to have enough air to survive.
Yeah. Or she'll die of, like, heat exhaustion, because, I mean, they were swimming. They were running around in, like, thin clothes and stuff, so it's obviously summer. So yeah, she's dead. That's how that ends. She escapes. She is awakened and enlightened to the fact that there's something outside. She puts herself through hell because, like, having a tooth removed by a professional sucks, and then having to beat one out of your own mouth with a dumbbell.
That's just puts herself.
Yeah, she puts herself through hell and does everything she can to get out. And then she dies.
And you know what else I thought was really cool? The concept of pain. so like when she's in pain, like when she's getting, whipped over the head, when she's, bashes her tooth out, she doesn't scream. Most people would cry, and we're taught to cry. And you see them even at one point in the film, she's practicing screaming, and stuff. So it's like they almost don't know what emotion to do with it, which is kind of weird because you almost think of, there's certain emotions that they're universal,
Right.
So it's interesting that she doesn't let out, any sound, or when they're hit or anything like that. So I don't know. And just like, I think, didn't she get, spanked even when she slit her brother? Like that whole scene was just like, she went like, it was like she was rabid, like a dog, early on when her brother was it the plane or he got something, and she was so pissed that she grabbed a butcher knife and just out of real fast sliced him. And it was just like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Whoa, where'd that come from? Oh shit.
Yeah. And it was just, I don't know where that came from. I was really shocked by that even. But I think to me, it's kind of an example of they don't know how to let out their frustration. They don't,
Yeah.
So.
And you need that as a human, especially as like an adolescent or a teenager. You need to know how to express what's in your head because everything's so fucked up, and they don't have that. And you do see it, the knife where she cuts him, and then one of them bashes him with a hammer in the kneecap while he's asleep.
Yeah.
And then blames the cat.
Yeah.
That was the best. And then he gets in trouble for leaving his fucking window open. I saw a cat with a hammer jump out the window.
That was funny. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was funny. So overall, I would say definitely this is a must-watch.
Oh yeah. It's don't let the first like 20 or 30 minutes put you off because it's like there's slow burn and then there's this. I think it's really slow, but if you just pay attention to what's going on, it really starts from the very beginning, really starts to build up to it's just so fucking weird. It's totally worth watching.
Yeah, I agree. So the next movie was to kind of freshen the palate. I chose 2017's Little Evil, and ironically enough, the director, who is Eli Craig, also directed Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So
really?
I think, yeah.
Oh,
so I know since that's one of our favorites, that's why I thought Johnny would definitely really watch this. This is why I've been pushing Johnny to watch this, and now he's not here today. So.
Ran off and left us. God damn it.
Yeah, and this is so definitely a horror comedy. The whole gist of it is, I love that, they play off of The Omen. You have like the Ghostbusters with the mention of the Keymaster, and then you find out who the Keymaster is in the end, and they kind of, with, I think, a few other movies, they definitely kind of, touched on. Yeah, I had Poltergeist down, and so that's it. It's basically a stepfather who marries this woman whose son is potentially the spawn of Satan, and is Damien. And it's so well done. It's so funny. The side characters are great. All the people from the stepfather's support group are great.
Oh my God, they're so good.
Yeah, they are. And the son who plays Lucas, which of course, as soon as I hear that word, I think of my paralyzed cat and I instantly melt. So I was I was like butter for Lucas for sure. He's adorable, and he looks a lot like the little boy who played Damien, which I loved. And
he also reminded me of Angus Young from AC/DC.
Yeah, and I love how they dressed him up like a little, like a little English schoolboy and stuff. So that was wonderful. It's just such a great, light-hearted, fun movie.
It is. It's so fun. My favorite character in the whole movie, though, is Al. The best friend, or like the friend from work. Yes. Yeah. She's the fucking best. She's talking about how all she ever wanted in life was a El Camino monster truck on 66-inch wheels, and she finally got it. And and her stepson has no interest in it. He just wants to watch Pitch Perfect.
Yes, which is like hilarious.
No, you got to crank up some Rush and put your hand against the speaker and your other hand against the heart. See if you feel something. That's America. And that got me, because Rush is Canadian. Rush is Canadian as fuck.
Yes. Yeah. This movie's just, everything. You could go on and on about it. It's just one of those. I definitely. You have to see. I thought it was so funny when one of the stepfathers talks about his twin daughters, and then you see them, and it's like the O'Grady twins, from The Shining and stuff. That was so funny, and you just feel like it's not trying to be like something. I do feel like it's kind of like an homage to different horror, like
it is. There's a lot of little references and Easter eggs, but it's not like where something like Scary Movie just beats you over the head with the references and stuff. This is more it's like a horror fan's horror comedy.
Yeah,
it really is.
I think it's just really having fun with it, just like Tucker and Dale.
Yeah.
You know that it's playing on some tropes, but it reverses them and just really has fun with itself, And then you have fun watching it.
Oh, it was a fucking blast. It was definitely like it would be a really good double feature, because coming off of Dogtooth and into this would have been culture shock for one. Mm-hmm. And it would have been because when we watch something like really fucked up, usually if I watch it with my wife, we have to watch something funny afterwards.
Yeah.
As like a palate cleanser. So this would have been perfect, because it's so. And I saw it a year or two ago, and I remember liking it, but I forgot almost everything about it. So it was almost like watching it. It was just brand new all over again, which was really good.
Yeah, and I watched it as a double feature, because you are kind of left, especially with how serious just things are in general with the world. It is kind of hard sometimes to just go, oh, I'm going to watch this intense movie. So after you do, you definitely need something a little lighthearted. I know there's still some movies I want to see, but I'm like, yeah, not right now. It's kind of got to be in the mood for it, or at least loosen things up. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'd like to check out right now, and usually it's like therapeutic for me to watch something that's going to leave me kind of fucked up for a couple of days. But recently, I just haven't felt it like I had before. Yeah. I don't know. Because I want to watch there's like Dogs Don't Wear Pants on Shudder. I have no idea what it is, but it's Korean. It's called Dogs Don't Wear Pants, and I know that's going to hurt my feelings. I'm trying to think if I've seen that one.
Or I Saw the Devil.
That's not a bad one to watch.
Is it not? I've heard a lot of good things about it. My video store guy was just like, you have to go fucking watch this. You have to watch it now. Cancel your plans.
I can't remember. I feel like I saw that one. I just don't remember very well. I had to look it up just to trigger my brain. You haven't seen I Saw the Devil yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Is that on Hulu or is...
I think
No,
it's on
that's on
Pluto.
Shudder. Is this the revenge one?
The dogs don't wear pants. It's something about a dominatrix.
No, the I Saw the Devil. Yeah. I Saw the Devil's... I thought it was good. I liked it.
It sounds fucking awesome. And I love...
It is good, and you don't... It's not going to leave you like this movie.
Yeah.
Just a little, but not nowhere near as intense.
I do like the Japanese and the Korean, like, revenge crime films and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like Old Boy. Fucking loved Old Boy.
Yeah, and there's like a whole vein of those. Lady Vengeance is really good. That might still be on Shudder.
It is. I think like there's a lot of them.
Did you see it yet?
I think I saw Lady Vengeance like a while back, but I haven't got to the rest of them.
That was a pleasant surprise.
I love shit like that. I like Japanese and Korean movies, especially when there's like crime and revenge, because they do that shit so well.
Yeah.
There was one last year, while we get completely off track, that was a record of sweet murder or something like that. It was so good.
Really?
Unearthed put it out. They got the rights, the American rights for it.
Record of murder.
It was fucking phenomenal.
It's on Tubi.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh
That's what
man,
it's telling me.
So good.
I'll pull it up and see if it is, in case if any of our listeners want to check it out. What's it called again?
The Record of Sweet Murder. Yeah, it's a Japanese South Korean thriller.
Yeah, it is. It's on Tubi. It came out in 2014. So. Yeah,
it came out in 2014, and then last year, Unearthed got the rights to it in America, I think, and then put it out. And say what you will about Unearthed, they put out some good shit every now and then.
Yeah.
Every now and then they get their hands on some good stuff.
I was gonna say, if another one. I still love The Wailing. Did you guys review that one a while back?
I think somebody watched it.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then the other one that I really dug, that I finally saw, I mean, it took me forever to see this movie just to kind of get it, was, I want to make sure I say it right. It was the suicide one. Seriously? Thirst was good too, by the way. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's an interesting take on, I don't know if it's Korean or not. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. Or Japanese or whatever, but it's a vampire, but it's not quite, it's just a completely different take. So,
it's always good.
Yeah, that I do know. It's on Amazon if you want to purchase it. This one is definitely a recommend, so that's why I'm taking the time to look. I post movies, if anybody doesn't know, or if anybody cares. My Instagram on Lady LeVay, I always post what I watch. Sprinkled in with, obviously, some cat and dog stuff. The Suicide Club. Suicide
That sounds good. I haven't seen it, but it sounds good.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. It's just, you can go check out the synopsis on it, but it's worth the watch. Amazon has a copy of it. It's not, I might be SD only copy, you know how they are sometimes, just trying to get, but it's good. It's different, you know. I think that's why I love foreign films so much, because they will go, they won't fulfill you all the time. They won't answer all your questions. Plus, their culture, other cultures are tied into, you know, how they do things and stuff. I think that's why, you know, there's such a revenge market, because revenge is kind of, you know, do you choose that path or not of revenge? And ghosts coming back are usually, you know, revengeful, you know, they've been wronged or whatnot. So
I too. I really like foreign film because they don't have to, like, American film feels like it needs to cater to everybody.
Yeah.
Very seldom do you see like a widely released American film that you can say this is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is not meant to please the box office or whatever. You know, with foreign films, I feel like, especially the ones that make it over, a lot of times it's more true to what the director or what the writer really wants to bring across, as opposed to getting a shit ton of studio notes here and having to change the ending.
Yeah, and I feel like things aren't, like you said, added in as much, or to fit a particular audience, you know, or we're going to have to add more of this or take out that. And too, I feel like a lot of the movies aren't gratuitous to be just gratuitous, or there seems to be a little more purpose in what they do, you know. I kind of like. So if it is there, it usually serves a purpose.
To an extent, yeah, at least.
Some of it. So.
And then there's like, you know, 70s and 80s Italian films that are just gratuitous for the hell of it, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I even think that might have been like a pushback against the what was going on in Europe with especially like the UK with the video nasties and the censorship boards and shit.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that kind of stuff, though, is important. And again, that goes based on culture. That's why it's kind of cool to see, okay, what's going on in a different culture at that time. I mean, not to get too off topic, but I mean, we're a great example of 70s where porn actually had plots and stories and stuff. And it was kind of like, you know, like Wes Craven did, you know, some porns and everything, you know, directed and stuff. And then it just became it was push them out, you know? Yeah,
like Caligula. So, I mean, it was a huge film. Malcolm McDowell, Helen Mirren? Helen?
Yeah.
No. Helen Mirren, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was... Go ahead.
But yeah, it was like huge, like I don't know, like the skin market in America in the 70s was thriving and different. And I looked up Caligula earlier, so it's probably on my if I hit back enough times. Yeah, here we go. Come on, where's it at? Yeah, it is Helen Mirren. Malcolm McDowell, Peter O'Toole. I mean, there's a lot of big names in that fucking movie, and it was a porno, but it was like the biggest budget porno ever shot, you know. And now it's just kind of fucking thrown out there.
Yeah, well, now it's tossed out as taboo. You can't be in, you know, porn films and do that, you know, and then try to make it mainstream and all that. Yeah. But so yeah, it just depends on the time and what's going on. but it's still it's neat. I love foreign films and stuff.
Yeah.
So, especially because I get frustrated. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do just want that great Hollywood movie or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes I feel like it ruins some of the movies I really look forward to. So
Yeah, you feel like punches have been pulled.
yeah, and I think that's also why I am so drawn to 70s, very early 80s horror, because I feel like they were still raw, you know, like Last House on the Left and I Spit on Your Grave and, you know, Texas Chainsaw. And, I mean, they just feel gritty and you feel kind of like, ugh, you know, and you don't get that from movies as much these days.
Because everything's so sparkly clean.
Mm-hmm.
That's also why I like independent films, like for example, like the local stuff we have here, like with Corey Jordan and Chuck Connery, who are putting out films, Chicken's Blood, Screwdriver. Like they're not for everybody, but there's no punches pulled. These are raw. You know, like there's comedy in both of them. You know, so I mean, they're not just like full on disturbing films, but there's stuff there that, especially in the comedy, that you're not going to get from some studio produced film.
Yeah.
You know, you're just not going to get stuff. And I think the further you get away from Hollywood, be it further underground or further like localized independent filmmakers, or, you know, away from Western culture, like the more you're going to be able to get like a full representation of what was meant. Because
and I don't feel like just because you are independent or because it's an art house or because it's made a little more underground that it necessarily means it has to be bad either or poorly done. You know, I understand that you might not be able to do all the things you want, but then that also pushes the creativity of, okay, how are we going to do this idea and you know, and play it out. And that's why I love I know there's a silly debate between practical effects and stuff, but I do love the hands-on. I love, even if it does look a little cheesy or something, but the fact that you went for it, you know, that you are like, let's try this, you know, and I love that. I love the practical effects.
I would rather see practical effects than CGI in horror, at least, any day of the week.
Me too. Because it feels more real.
It does, and especially with like lower budget films like you're talking about, maybe they don't have all the money to do all the things that they want, but you do see what the creative mind can do with a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And some like, again, I'll go back to Screwdriver again because it's like the most independent thing that I've watched lately. And I really enjoyed it, and there's a lot of really good stuff in it, and you can tell that they're going back. Like Chuck and whoever he had running cinematography are going back and taking plays out of playbooks from the 70s and 80s. You know, the right time to cut the camera away from the weapon entering the neck and to just film the feet quivering. Or
I need to see this. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's like I said, it's low budget. It's fucking ridiculous, but it's the difference between of just your average Joe fucking throwing together a movie and cutting corners because they don't have a lot of budget, and somebody who is really interested in their craft and really kind of knows what they're doing, and goes out there and knows that they've got like IMDb says the budget for this movie was $200. So, you know, you're working on a fucking micro budget, but they go out there and they use what they have to the best of their ability. And there's some really decent practical effects in that movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I do think they give away like the money shot in the trailer. Mm-hmm. It's like intestines being pulled out. And I'm pretty sure it's real guts. it's like probably animal intestines or something.
They probably just went to their local meat market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love shit like that. I would rather see something like that than fucking CGI. Free from Hell, towards the end, Otis has this wound across his face that's so clearly fucking CGI. And that, I was livid. I was like, why would you do that? Why? Why would you go through... Yeah.
Yeah.
You could take a 15-year-old off Instagram and have him do the goddamn makeup for you in probably 20 minutes, you know?
Even just beyond the effects, though. I mean, if you have a good story and you have good dialogue, you know, that's all you need. Yeah. And, I mean, there's plenty of movies where, you know, well, again, you know, you have plenty of movies. I was thinking of The Pool. But you have plenty of movies where they take place in pretty much just one setting. And it's really, do you have enough to pull in the audience and to keep them there? You know? And then if you got that, you know, and you do have to have somewhat quality acting. I mean, nothing will pull you out worse than, you know, shitty dialogue and horrible acting, and you know, it doesn't have to be a Hollywood feature film to be great.
There's a movie that came out last year, like late last year, early this year. It's called The Samaritans, and it's kind of funny. They're part of their PR blast was that there were 6 people, 1 location, 2 days. Okay. And they're all inside this house, and it's in like 2 rooms in this house. It's like the basement and living room. And there's 4 or 5 people. I think there's 5 people in the cast. The director's one of them, and the cameraman. And that's it. Like he's running. Yeah, he's running. It's got I can't remember who all it's got in it, but it's really fucking good.
God, I can't remember if I've seen this or not.
But the dialogue and the story is super good, and the way it plays out is really cool. And there's a little bit of effects work that's kind of ropey, but I mean. But it doesn't matter because the story's so good. Like, they develop the characters just enough. It's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, so it's on Prime, but you gotta... No, they have it. They have it free with ads.
Huh.
So, or you can rent it. I'll rent it. I'll watch it. I just added it to my list. Very cool. But if anything, I think we've given some movies for people to check out. So
yeah, you're gonna be surprised how little we talk about fucking Little Evil.
Sorry.
It's like we talk about Little Evil for 5 minutes and then Horror Nerd for fucking half an hour.
Well, Little Evil is one of those movies that all we need to do is we told you what the gist of it. It's great. Yeah. It's a must watch as well.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Good time.
Real quick to get on my little take of it before we go is I thought it was pretty funny how they had the little kid look like the kid from, was it The Omen?
Yeah.
And also the fact that the director is the director of Tucker and Dale.
Yeah, we brought both of those points up.
Yeah. Also, he looks like Angus Young from fucking from AC/DC.
Hell yeah! Throw a little guitar on him would be awesome.
Hell yeah! Give him a little SG. He'd be fucking duck walking. Yes. Bring that shit.
Well, hell yeah. Well, sorry I wasn't there for all that, but
That's all right. Before we sign off, I'm definitely, as I always encourage people, watch more horror.
Yes.
please do. Yeah. So I guess that's all we got, y'all. We out.
Peace.
We should have just had an awkward silence there and just been like,
Now it's time to say goodbye to the basement guys again. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of their hospitality. Or that is, spooks and spells. Take your shirt off. Y'all come back now, you hear?